For most Americans, when we hear the word medicine, we tend to think of prescriptions. We go to the doctor for a short appointment, we're given a diagnosis code, and we leave with a prescription. And this is something that we've been taught to see as medicine. In this time, I want to help you redefine what medicine really means in a powerful way, in a way that helps you claim agency and empowerment over your health and well-being. I'm Jacqueline Miller. I'm a women's functional health practitioner and the founder of RAD Wellbeing. RAD is a women's functional wellness and holistic health practice that was created, simply put, to help women live radically well. And my aim with these videos is to provide women with fresh perspective, practical education, and a deeper sense of agency around their health and their lives. In practice, I work with women in their mid-20s up to mid-70s to help them gain clarity and empowerment around what their unique bodies need to thrive. So if you're craving fresh perspective, clarity, and empowerment around your health and your life, keep listening. So when we zoom out and go way, way back, the Latin root of the word medicine actually means to heal. And where we've landed in our modern definition of medicine is that it's something almost exclusively pharmaceutical, which says a lot about how far removed we've become from what medicine, health, and well-being truly is. I want to be very clear about something up front, that there's absolutely a time and a place for prescriptions and medications and Western medicine. Western medicine and modern healthcare technology are life-saving in many situations. I always say if you break a bone, I can't help you, and you need to go be in that system and receive that kind of care. American healthcare often excels at emergency and acute situations, but it's simply not built for cultivating long-term whole body health and well-being. So when you receive a medicine in the conventional Western system, it's often used to manage or suppress symptoms rather than to fully explore and address the underlying root causes that are driving those symptoms. So when we're talking about building real lasting health and well-being, which I spoke a lot about in my last video, that's where we need to deepen our understanding of what medicine actually is. And we have to ask a different question, which is what are the things that truly heal the body and build health? Those are the real medicines of life. So I invite you to start reframing the word medicine in your own life. And instead of asking, what medicine do I need? Ask, what medicines might be missing from my life ecosystem? Where do I need more support to truly build health? Because again, in its truest sense, medicine is anything that helps heal the body and build health. And that's very different from how we've been conditioned to think about it. Another thing that I often reflect on is how prescription focused we are as a society. We place an enormous amount of priority on taking medications consistently. There's this mindset of, I would never miss my prescription, and we move heaven and earth to make sure we don't miss a dose. So what if we applied that same level of commitment and devotion to the real medicines of life? Things like time outside, movement, sleep, nourishing food, being in community, building emotional well-being. What if we treated those with the same seriousness and consistency as a prescription? If we showed up for these practices daily with the same dedication, we would have a radically different expression of our health. These are the medicines that work on a whole systems level. They don't just target one symptom or one mechanism in the body. They send signals throughout the entire body, signals of safety and balance and true healing, and they impact every cell, tissue, organ, and system, creating a full body recalibration and a full body experience of health. This is where transformation and lasting change really happens. This is through lifestyle medicine, or the way that we live our life. One of the biggest misconceptions is that lifestyle medicine is just soft therapies. And in reality, they are some of the most powerful tools that we have. But there can be a dissonance there because we've been deeply conditioned to give our power away, or to believe that healing comes primarily from something outside of us, whether a pill or procedure or hack or healer. But again, real health isn't built by stacking interventions. It's built by creating a life that consistently sends signals of health to the body. And those signals are what allow the body to function in the way that it was designed to. So as we explored in my last video, we're in this constant living exchange with our environment. So when we shift our focus to these lifestyle medicines, we free ourselves from looking for quick fixes, which most of us know intuitively don't work. We stop looking for hacks. We stop looking for Band-Aids that only cover symptoms. So when we talk about lifestyle medicine, is it sexy? Is it flashy? Does it make a great sizzler reel? Absolutely not. But it's what creates deep and radical change in our life and in our health. So today I want to introduce 9 key medicines of life, and each one of these could easily be its own long-form conversation or a whole class or workshop. Some of them have become that in practice. But for this video, I want to offer them simply as a new lens or a much needed reminder around what are the most impactful medicines that we can apply as prescriptions or with that devotion or commitment in our day-to-day life to build our health. The beautiful thing about these medicines is that these are the things that we can claim full agency over. They don't require permission or approval. They don't require outsourcing or power. They don't require a certain set of conditions. These are the choices that we can own in each moment of each day. And again, I invite you to think of them as prescriptions, changing what that word means to you. So a prescription for movement, a prescription for nature, a prescription for connection. And as I go through this list, I encourage you not to try to do all of them perfectly and feel that overwhelm that can kick in. Instead, just notice which one or maybe 2 of these that your body responds to the one that feels like it's calling to you. And that's where you can start to place your focus and build from there. So, medicine number 1 is food. You've likely heard the phrase, food is medicine, and this is deeply true. Food is one of the most powerful signals that we send to our cells, full stop. It's information, almost like programming code for our cells of whether to do their jobs as they were designed to, because our cells do have a brilliant intelligence around what their jobs are, or for them to create dysfunction, perhaps inflammation, digestive issues, blood sugar issues, etc. So food is a message that tells the body whether to move toward balance and resilience and healing or toward dysfunction. I have so much I could share around this because nutrition and food are huge parts of the work that I do with women. I could do whole courses on nutrition because I see so much misunderstanding and conflicting information in the nutrition space, and there can be a lot of nuance when it comes to truly personalized and individualized nutrition. But I think the best place to start for anyone is simply to prioritize or reprioritize eating whole foods. And what I mean by that are foods that come directly from the earth. So foods that were at one point alive, that were made by a plant, not in a plant. The more you can shift towards foods that are connected to the earth, the more alignment you're going to be in from a total body health standpoint. This is simply how we were designed to eat and designed to thrive. Medicine number 2 is our breath. Our breath is something that we often forget about, but it is a direct communication line to our nervous system, and it helps regulate, and regulate has become another huge buzzword in the wellness space, but our breath does help regulate or bring balance and adaptability into our nervous system. It influences our heart rate, our stress response, and our ability to just slow down and support ourselves and even pattern interrupt mentally or emotionally when we need that. A deep breath is like a 3 to 4 second whole body reset. And it's so common for me to see women that breathe up in their chest, so shallow breathing versus taking those deep, expansive belly breaths that actually massage many of our organs. They help send safety signals to the nervous system, regulate heart rate, and so much more. So a simple practice here is just to start paying attention to the quality of your breath and notice how you typically breathe. And from there, how you can work in, even if it's just a few times a day, a few big, deep breaths, expanding into the rib cage and the diaphragm and the belly, and slowing things down and just seeing what impact that makes on the rest of your body when you do so. You'll likely find that this alone can have a profound effect across the body. Medicine number 3 is connecting with Mother Nature, and especially in Mother Nature, the sun. It's well established that we are a very disconnected society, and we can look at that on multiple levels. We can look at that as disconnected from ourselves and our inner world. We can look at it as disconnected from community and real connection. But I think one of the biggest layers of disconnect is actually our disconnect with Mother Nature. We were designed to be outside as much as possible, to receive natural sunlight, to feel the earth underneath our feet, to move with the natural rhythms and seasons of nature. That is part of our design. We often forget that we come from all the same things as nature. Scientifically, humans come from the same fundamental building blocks as all other life on Earth. So starting there is just asking, how can I get outside more frequently? I am a big advocate for what's called first morning light. So as soon as you wake up, going outside to get natural sunlight directly in the eyes for a few minutes. There's a lot of science behind this simple practice, and it's very well established at this point. So maybe that's your starting point, or maybe it's just to go outside in between meetings or in between tasks and take a few deep breaths outside with your feet on the ground. These, again, are the simple but profound shifts and habits that can bit by bit build your deeper ecosystem of health. Number 4 is the medicine of sleep. This is about understanding that we have to have rest, which is when the body processes and heals on much deeper levels. And again, this is something that I could talk about for hours, all the science behind sleep and specific steps to take to support sleep. I actually have a whole masterclass on sleep, and it's a huge focus of my practice because if we're doing, quote unquote, all of the things, we're nailing our nutrition, we're taking our supplements, we're exercising, doing breath work, exploring our inner world, but we're not getting the amount of rest that our body truly needs, all of the other returns are going to be somewhat diminished. So focusing on the quality of your sleep is paramount. A really easy starting place here is looking at your pre-sleep routine. So what are you doing in that sacred and pivotal hour leading up to sleep? That hour sets the stage for quality sleep, period. So are you scrolling on your phone and putting low quality mental food in your brain? Are you doing things that keep the nervous system overstimulated? An ideal pre-sleep routine helps the body shift into ease and opens the body up to the possibility of that deep restorative rest. Again, there's so much more I could say on this, but I would start by, again, just taking inventory of what that hour before bed looks like and how you might be able to shift that time to support your body in its transition into sleep. Number 5 is the medicine of movement. We were designed to move often, period. Modern life is incredibly sedentary, so we have to be really intentional about reconnecting with movement and building it into our lives. And this is not about forcing yourself into exercise that you hate. It's about finding movement that feels supportive and sustainable, types of movement that you can easily devote time to. There's a lot I plan to share in future videos about what type of movement scientifically is most supportive for women at different seasons of life and even different phases of their menstrual cycle, the mission critical roles of movement in building muscle mass, etc. But just start here by asking how you can create more pockets of movement throughout the day. Maybe that's just a walk around the block once or twice a day, so you're pairing movement and nature. Maybe it's incorporating movement snacks, which is a phrase that Dr. Rhonda Patrick has coined. So every 30 minutes, getting up for a little snack of movement. That could be squats, planks, stretching, whatever feels good. Movement is also how we literally move through energy in the body. So when things feel stuck, when we might feel stressed or just have something we can't really get out of our head, sometimes we have to get out of the head and get into the body somatically to move through that and actually discharge that energy. Number 6 is the medicine of connection. I mentioned earlier that we are broadly labeled as a very disconnected society. And I named that we have these different layers of connection to ourself and our inner world. So are we really paying attention to what our heart is saying, what our soul is saying, being curious about our deepest needs? We have our connection to others, our partners, our family, our friends. What is the quality of connection with these people in our lives and our connection to our communities? So do we feel like we're just this little isolated part, or do we realize that we're part of this whole greater community that we live in? So just starting by bringing awareness and curiosity to where you might feel disconnected in life, and perhaps starting with that connection with yourself and with them, just asking that simple question: what do I really need in this moment? What is my heart calling for? What is my body calling for? Asking those questions and answering them honestly and with care can be signals to the body that we're intending to connect with ourselves, and that can ripple out into all of our other relationships. Number 7, this might be my favorite, is the medicine of destimulation. I actually struggled to decide how I wanted to word this one because there's so many layers to this, and this is touching on a facet of modern day human existence that is so ubiquitous and frankly dysfunctional, meaning the level of stimulation and overstimulation that we've normalized as a society. A lot of this boils down to electronics and screens and social media, but a lot of it also boils down to how much we take on as individuals and the amount of incoming demand that we have in life. We have a very common narrative, especially in the US, that every moment of every day needs to be filled up with doing something. So what I mean when I say destimulation is creating more experiences of removing stimuli and just stopping that chronic doing so that we can access states of safety and ease within the nervous system and therefore the entire body. These are moments or pockets of time where the nervous system can downshift into a mode of true rest and safety without all the notifications and alerts and to-dos and the hundreds of things that are constantly calling for our attention, many of which truly don't even matter. So in today's world, choosing to destimulate really is a radical choice, but it's a simple one that just requires a pause from all of the inputs that our brains have become extremely accustomed and even addicted to. Our screens, our emails, our social media platforms, of course, our phones, all the interruptions that are coming in constantly throughout the day, that barrage of stimulation keeps our nervous system in a very heightened and hypervigilant state. So the first step that we can take to creating a greater sense of safety and ease within the body is to just give ourselves a break from all that stimulation. This will look different for each person. We really do have addictions to our screens and our electronics, and I'm going to be sharing more about that in the future and how we can work with that. But for you, it might look like starting with a 10-second break of all stimulation. So physically closing the computer, putting the phone away in a separate space, and giving yourself just a few moments of doing nothing. It's very possible and likely even that this may be uncomfortable at first because we're so accustomed to doing and stimulating all day long and again being in a constant stream of inputs. But the more that we can practice this, the more we can start to build the capacity to hold safety and ease and well-being within the body. I have found for so many women this concept and creating an ecosystem with less stimulation is one of the most impactful choices that they can make. Number 8 is the medicine of our home. This is something that I see often overlooked, and it's really just about reflecting on the energy that our home environment holds for us, meaning the home in which we live. So when we're home, do we feel safe? Do we feel calm? Do we feel organized? And do we feel ultimately in control? And I don't normally like to use the phrase in control because I think that's to a large degree a fallacy and something the human mind can definitely try to cling to. But our home environment is something that, for the most part, we can control. So that might start with looking at clutter or general disorganization. Both of these things can create subtle but constant stress signals that the body interprets, and it can easily overwhelm the system in the background. Most of us have likely had the experience when our home is tidy and clean and that sense of greater ease within the body that comes with it. So the more that we can create a home environment that is calm and has a sense of rootedness, that is a deep aspect of our well-being. We obviously spend the vast majority of our lives in our homes. And so it makes natural sense that from, again, this ecosystem standpoint, we want our home environment to be one that we love and feel safe and feel at ease in. Number 9, our final medicine, is the medicine of, simply put, care. I've stopped using the phrase self-care because, as I've mentioned before, a lot of these phrases have become buzzwords and they lose their depth and their meaning when that happens. One of my mentors in a talk recently said, self-care, what is this self-care? It's just care. It's all care. So this medicine of care is really about cultivating a state of heart or a state of soul, if you want to say that, and doing as much as we possibly can from a place of love and kindness and compassion and acceptance for ourselves. You can use whatever word you want there. It might be care, it might be love, it might be loving kindness. But the more that we can cultivate this hardwiring or an operating system where the default is care for yourself, care for your whole being, your body, your environment, your relationships, that is perhaps the deepest medicine that we have access to. This care works as a two-way street. I'll never forget when I had a client on a discovery call and she said, Jacqueline, I really want to do this work physically because we can only love as well as our cells can live. And so, first of all, really let that sink in. We can only love as well as our cells can live. But I think that works conversely too. Our cells need the signal of love and care coming from within. They need to know that we care about ourselves and our life in order to function because our cells are listening. This care is very often the missing ingredient for so many women. It's the medicine that we are often the most deficient of. I want to say too that this care and compassion and kindness, again, whatever you would like to name it, it ultimately stems from an awareness or presence with ourselves and within our lives. And once again, I could share hours and hours of insights and perspective around this. Presence and mindfulness are ways of being that I'm deeply passionate about and that have made some of the biggest differences in my life. But our ability to care starts with our ability to even notice in the first place. We talked about how we're so hardwired in this day and age and in this society to just keep moving and doing. And our natural operating system is one that often has become very detached from our bodies and our health. And I share often that I don't know that I had a truly conscious thought about myself and what I really needed or wanted until much later in my adult life. And I mean that in a deep way, not just like I need food, I need sleep. Those are basic needs, of course, that we're all honoring automatically. But when I started in all of this work and my own journey in this space, it was like, wow, I actually had a major sense of grief because I had never really just asked what my body needed, what my heart wanted and what my soul wanted. And so it starts with that awareness of ourselves and just paying attention to the present moment versus being on autopilot all the time. It starts there. And from that awareness, then we can expand and add in the second layer of care and love for ourselves, our bodies, our entire environments. Care is medicine. So I trust I've given you plenty to chew on here. Whatever resonated most, I invite you to spend time with it, reflect on it, journal on it, notice what medicine your life is asking for right now, and start with one. Build devotion to it, take the prescription consistently, because I promise when we start to apply these medicines with consistency, the body does what it was inherently designed to do. This is where true healing happens. It's not by overriding the body, but by supporting it and being in a caring partnership with it. We aren't asking, how do we force the body to change, or how do we add technologies or pills or whatever it is to take a sledgehammer to the body. We're asking, what do I need to heal and thrive? And very often the answer isn't more intervention. It's more alignment with these fundamentals, the medicines of life. Life itself is the medicine. So if you have enjoyed this video or found this supportive, be sure to like, subscribe, or share with anyone that you love. You can always learn more about Rad Wellbeing and how to work together and deepen your own support by visiting my website, which is linked below. And I hope to see you back here for future videos.